Anyways, the last thing I was talking about was trying to not feel like a hypochondriac because I know that there's stuff going on. And my children are proof. One kid with autism, then he has ADHD, then my daughter has autism, and I think she might have ADHD. And it makes you wonder. So I talked to my psychiatrist, and he said, "Yeah, I think you are, but I think I like to know more about this." Um, so yeah, there's a long list of things going on, and I could go through them, but what I wanted to say was a while back I used to tell my husband, my issues seem to be tied to my senses a lot. Maybe not all my issues, but the ones I think about a lot, like allergies that smell, and I also have like tickles in my throat and stuff. And I also am a super taster. Like for me, like some people want hella garlic and hella pepper, and I'm like, no, that's too much, which affects my digestion as well and my gut health. Hearing, especially certain times near my cycle, I think it's called mysonomia. I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Where like noises like are really annoying, like doors slamming, which my husband just slammed, people chewing, and all kinds of stuff. Uh, Allergies, so I just smell stuff and I never realized that could possibly be that they're all triggers. They're all histamine triggers, maybe. My body, I to this day am like, do I have an autoimmune issue? Because I've always felt attacked in some way. Um, People's feelings make me feel attacked because I have a high reaction to what people say and emotions and stuff. Stress. Um, let's see. Do I have anything with touch? Not that I can think of. I bet there is something though. Um, but what I really was pinning it down to is I was looking at what in Eastern medicine they call the seven chakras. And I feel like there's always something connected to the chakras. For me, the crown, where I have like very thin hair, and I also like can get headaches. And the third eye, where I can get headaches too, and I have ADHD and anxiety and depression and PMDD, and who knows if there's bipolarism. And I feel like my mother's maternal side of the family, along with gut stuff. But we're going to get to that because after that we go to the throat chakra. And this is where I have a lot of my tightness and stuff come up for muscle tightness. Oh, and to backtrack a bit, TMJ. I have to wear a night guard at night. So there's some tightness here, which who knows if that contributes to here. And I talked to you about the whole middle ear inflammation, whereas I just thought that was part of allergies because I was always like here and I needed to do a wet Q-tip in my ear. I noticing my daughter having moments like that where she's like, I'm hot, or my ear itches, or my skin itches. So I think that's inflammation or histamine reaction or triggers or whatever. I'm looking at like how to eat, which is very hard, and because some things are high in histamine and some things just trigger histamine, and who knows. But I feel like I need to see an immunologist because I think it's more than just allergies. And the last time I was with allergy at Kaiser, I tried to do the shots and I started to have weird reactions. So that definitely shows me that something's up with my body. I have dry throat. I have whiteness on my tongue, but I did a GI test and they said that I don't have candida overgrowth, so I'm stumped at what that is. Let's see. There's the heart chakra, which I did talk about the heart problems. And I don't know if the musculoskeletal pain is connected to that, because they do talk about how the arms and stuff, so whatever pains you feel here is kind of connected to that. I don't know if it has to do with like blood flow as well. I think I oscillate with hot and cold temperatures, which I think is a POTS thing. And I didn't know anything about hypermobility until like maybe couple years ago. And before that, I knew I was a hyperextender because I had a yoga teacher who was like, just, relax your knee a little bit. Um, so that's interesting, and learning that like my alignment and how I walk, and the big thing about realizing that how I used to walk into friends when we would walk at school, like the drifting was very much an ADHD sign. Um, so there's something with motor skills. So I know Ruby, like when she was little, she fell a lot, and there's some stuff with motor skills and coordination, and I was never great with perception with driving and stuff. Thinking I was clear, but I'd be too close to a car. So there's definitely like a visual as well as physical concern with like perception, and I'm that kind of person who always dings her arm even though she thought she had enough room to cross. Who knows if I have sensory processing disorder. What is that called when you like, I don't think it's motor skill, it's proprioception. And I found out that I still have the moral reflex, the one where you're like, you go like this and someone just hits you and you like startle. Kids are supposed to lose that after 6 months. So that was weird. There's just a lot of stuff in me that's not integrated and not processing correctly. So yeah, we're in hot chakra. And then the solar is right by the belly button. That has to do with the digestion and the gut health. And being a person who's always sensitive, like I start to get tight and stressed and can't relax and have to work on my breathing. And I have to say, after having 2 babies, like after my daughter, like bowel movements were interesting, and they still are. I don't know why we don't look into that, how women are doing after they've had kids, and how nothing's ever the same, especially if they're later in their 40s and getting closer to perimenopause. There is the sacral chakra and the root chakra, which almost seem like they're sort of near each other. And that's important to me because I've always had back pains. I've fallen on my back a couple of times. I've sprained my ankle a couple of times, again with the motor stuff. I have a tight pelvic floor. I have been kind of, well, I'm just going to be honest, not as moist as some women probably get down there. Tend to have to use lube. And that was way before perimenopause, so that's just the truth. I don't think I sweat as heavily as I used to, so I don't know if I have an issue with like sweat glands or like pituitary or something to do with, because I'm not like really, I drink a lot of water yet I feel dehydrated. I just don't feel like I'm hydrated enough. And I'm sure there's other things I'm forgetting. But I find it interesting that if you go down and look at what the chakras are, what they represent, because they're connected to things like creativity and openness and feeling secure in yourself, and how if you have certain pains in those areas that maybe you're not as secure and stuff. And that's possibly true. I mean, I wasn't always a secure kid, and working through that and past trauma, and also just like genetics. Sometimes genetics just has things that don't process well or are underdeveloped in certain parts of your chakra. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm on a journey to figure it out. For me, it's more about how things are interconnected instead of taking it separately. So I want to figure out, what is it about the heart or the weak muscle of the heart that may cause other things to be weak or have issues with circulation or other things that might tie to POTS or EDS or ADHD or PMDD or I don't know, man. The list goes on and on and on. Woe is me.